All right, anatomy guys, welcome back. We are now on CA5. There's no page number in this, but it will be on your test. But I'm attaching a Smarter Everyday video, hopefully right in and around where this will be. And the Smarter Everyday video describes all this, shows you pictures for it. Hopefully it's going to make sense. But let's go ahead and back up. Let's figure out what's going on. We're going to look at what we call fetal blood flow. Fetal blood flow. You already know, I hope, your blood flow. There's a video on this. It's going to be all over the test, the X, Y's. I hope you know, and you can answer several questions. Let's have a quick review. If I asked you what side of the heart was oxygen rich, what side would you say? You should say left side. Left side is oxygen rich. That makes the right side of your heart is oxygen poor. It's pumping to the lungs. If I asked you where the aorta pumped blood, you should say your entire body except for the lungs. Your entire body except for the lungs. If I ask you where the pulmonary artery pumped blood, you should say to the lungs. That's it. That's it. That's why the right ventricle that pumps to the lungs is so weak compared to the left ventricle. Little tiny thin walls. All right, so XYs on the valves are all over the test. XYs on every part of it. Essentially, you should look at every little part of the heart that I did on the last one, like the descending aorta, and be able to say the job of it. If I said, what's the job of the descending aorta? You should say it takes oxygen-rich blood to the lower tissues. If I ask you what the job of the superior vena cava is, you should say it takes oxygen-poor blood from the upper tissues to the right atrium. You should know that backwards and forwards, no doubt, all over your test. I will not pull punches on the test on this. You need to know all of it. All right, and it's really not that much, and it also sets the stage for your further understanding. Like, for example, fetal blood flow. Fetal means fetus. This is blood flow in babies. All right, blood flow in babies that are still inside mom. All right, so let's understand a few things. First of all, while you're a fetus inside your mom, mom is doing the breathing for you. And she's also doing a whole lot. She's doing everything for you. In fact, she does so much for you even before you're born, just to help you get to birth. You should pause the video right now, go find your mama, and hug her neck. Pause the video, go get her, hug her, say, I love you, thank you for sharing your blood with me, because she provided so much oxygen from her breathing to you through this. So we're going to check this out. I need you to understand that while you're in your mom's womb, you don't breathe oxygen. Obviously, you're floating in amniotic fluid, and that amniotic fluid has poop and urine all in it too. Not a whole lot because things are reduced, but you're not breathing oxygen. Now you are, while you're in utero, and we see this happen, you are like gasping breaths. You are breathing in amniotic fluid into your lungs, and you're doing that, they say, to get yourself ready to be autonomous, for you to be have the muscles to be able to breathe once you get out. So you act them out, and you do it to get your body ready. But several things I want you to know about fetal blood flow. I'm going to star them as bullets, so we're going to go to the simple bullets. Only 7% of blood that you have while you're a fetus goes to the lungs. Only 7%. Now, as soon as you're born, within an hour you're born, it goes to 100% of your blood is eventually going to go to your lungs. But it restricts it down to 7%. And one of the main reasons is your mom is breathing for you. Her umbilical vein and umbilical artery is bringing in to your body that oxygen-rich blood that you need. So, long story short, I hate to simplify this, but as a baby, your right side of the heart doesn't do a whole lot. It does pump, it does do its job, but only 7% really of its whole job, because mama's doing the breathing for you. So while you're a fetus, your heart tries to pump blood from the right ventricle and your right atrium over to the left side to develop your head, your brain, your arms, and your tissues and all that, because the right ventricle basically says, thank you, Mom. Thank you. You're doing the job for me, so I don't have to work really hard right now, but I'll do a little bit of job to get myself ready to be out in the world, born, okay? So one of the things you need to know is this number. Only 7% of fetal blood is actually going to go to a fetus's lungs because mama's doing the breathing for it. Another thing I want you to know about this is the fetal structures that we're going to look to the fetal structures for the heart. They should all be closed, and we're going to look at this a little bit later, by the 5th day. In other words, 5 days after you're born, all those fetal structures should be closed off and say, we're fixed. Last bullet for this before we look at the data is I want you to expect XY questions on fetal structures. Expect them. They're on the test. XY's on fetal structures. You need to know it. All right? Now, in your heart right now, blood flows from your right atrium to where? Two of you said it. Right ventricle. All right? It's not how it flows in the baby's heart. Baby's heart, 93% of the blood eventually is going to go to over there. Eventually, one way or another, it's going to make sense here in a second. But in baby's hearts, it flows from right atrium to left atrium. Isn't that weird? Because basically you're trying to divert away from the pulmonary system because mom's doing the breathing for you. And you're trying to go over to the systemic system, which is the left side of the heart. The whole systemic circuit is the left side of the heart. So you're diverting blood from the right side, the pulmonary circuit, to the left side as a baby. All right. So let's go ahead and get down some facts. You got to get these. These are going to be all over the test. And let's go to the first structure. All right. So we have a heart here. Now, your heart, hopefully you remember, you're going to pump blood from the right atrium to the right ventricle, but you have a wall that's right here that separates the right atrium from the right ventricle. This wall, that's right here, and it's thinner where my thumbs are. This wall is called the interatrial septum. It's between the septum, so it's called interatrial septum. This one is called the interventricular septum because it's between the ventricles. But fetuses, they have a hole right here that connects the right atrium to the left atrium, so the blood can flow from here to here, thereby bypassing the pulmonary circuit. All right? That hole is called, in a fetus, is called the foramen, which is an opening ovale. All right? The Greek would call this the oval opening, the foramen ovale. Hopefully you can see that. I got to double check that you can see that. All right, good. Now, by the time the baby comes out, and this is normally by 5th day, all of these structures, by the time the baby comes out, the foramen ovale is changed. This flap of tissue will cover up that opening, and we'll start diverting blood through how it works for you now. The baby has something called, a fossa ovalis. Maybe I better put baby/adult so that when you see baby, you don't think fetus. I'm thinking like after birth, this baby's been born. Fetus has not been born yet. But that structure between the right atrium and the left atrium is called the fossa ovalis. And all of you have in your heart, I have one student that said, my fossa ovalis never closed, so I still have a little bit of a foramen ovalis. She was a cheerleader. She was slightly hampered by that, but it was a heart defect where her foramen ovale didn't close completely to form a fossa ovalis. Now, the time it takes for this to happen should be about 1 hour. Like in 1 hour, it closes. All right? Now, there's another structure. Hopefully, I can denote this for you. Hopefully you can see it, but on this heart of an adult model, you can see a little white tissue there, and that white tissue goes from the pulmonary artery to the aorta. All right, and you have one in your heart right now. It's right there. That white tissue is what it is. Now, a fetus back when you and I were inside mama, it wasn't this ligament, which it is now. And now for you and I, it's a ligament. It just holds these two structures together because they're constantly moving. It provides some rigidity, some strength, because these things are pulling against each other. Now it's a ligament. But back when you were inside mama, it was a tube. It was a duct. It was an opening. And it took blood from going to the lungs. It took it and shoved it up here into the aorta so you could feed your brain and your arms and your legs. Because mom's doing it for you, you don't need to send it to the lungs, except for 7% of it. So this opening, when you're a fetus, is called the Ductus Arteriosus. And you know this on the test because this word duct, it means an opening, like an air duct under your house. It's an opening, the Ductus Arteriosus. When by the time you're a baby / adult like you and I, it's no longer called the Ductus Arteriosus. It no longer lets blood flow through it, and it's called the ligamentum arteriosum. And that should be closed within, or right about 5 days, less than a week. It goes from a duct to a ligament, and blood should flow through it. Okay, as far as fetal blood flow, this is the stuff you're going to see on the test. I will give you XYs for this. I'll give you an XY for the Foramen Ovale. I'll give you an XY for the Ductus Arteriosus. I might give you a trick question and say, what's the XY for the ligamentum arteriosum? And you should say, for the ligamentum arteriosum, there's no XY because there's no pathway through there. XYs always show a normal pathway. There's no normal pathway through the ligamentum arteriosum. There's no normal pathway through the fossa ovalis. So be ready for it. Be keen on it. Guys, Mr. V checking out from this classroom. Y'all have a wonderful day.